This is, okay, we're learning, continuing in the Mimer in Sefer Maimorim. You have this book here, let me see this book, Contrasim Aleph, here. Just see this one moment, Contrasim Aleph, here it is. Of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is a Mimer which was said when he was in the land of Israel in 1929. He went to the land of Israel, was there for 2 weeks. Visiting, praying at the graves of tzaddikim. And the Mimer is talking about the destruction of the temple. Okay, so please look inside. V'zeu. V'zeu, that's what it means in Nusach HaBracha. That is what we say every time we say a blessing. Jewish people are supposed to say 100 blessings every day. Did you know that, Yonah? Jewish people are supposed to say 100 blessings every day. A lot of those blessings, when we say the Shemona Esrei, then there's the blessings of the morning that we say. Then there's blessings over meals, washing our hands. But all of them have one thing in common. They all start off with Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. And when you're doing a commandment, so you add on the words Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotov. When a Jew does a commandment, puts on tefillin, puts on tzitzis, puts a mezuzah on his door. When he does a commandment of God, and so he says the words, Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotov. 100 times a day, you're supposed to make a blessing. And a lot of those blessings are blessings on mitzvahs. And when you say the mitzvahs, you say Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotov. Good. What in short does it mean? What does it mean?
Wait, so hold on. You're supposed to say 100 blessings a day.
Right.
How many blessings do you say in Shacharis?
You say, well, there's, let's say, 19 blessings in Shemona Esrei. And then there's a blessing you say, then there's the morning blessings that you say. That's like, you have to look and see exactly. That's 15 blessings plus the blessings in the Torah is 17. And there's a couple others, exactly how they count them. So you have 3 times 19, that already makes 57. And then you have the morning blessings, that's like another, 20. Then you have the blessing you say on your tefillin. Some people make a blessing on the tefillin of the head also. We don't, as far as people also don't, just one blessing. Then you make blessings on tzitzis. Then you make the blessings on Baruch She'amar, and then there's a blessing right before Shema Yisrael. And in the end, it works out. You have to eat a meal, at least one, I think, and you can look in this Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, it has them all listed out. What are the 100 blessings you're supposed to say every day? And the 100 blessings came because of King David, that there was a plague in Israel, and it was revealed to David that you have to say 100 blessings. Ma Hashem Elokecha Shalom Yimach, Al Tikra Ma Elameya. You have to make 100 blessings every day. Okay, what is the idea of making a blessing just in general? That's not what he's talking about here. But in general, what does it mean, Baruch Atah? Blessed are you, God. What are we giving God a blessing? God needs a blessing from us. So, even though that it's true, it says over there,
we're telling people how great God is.
That's Kaddish. That's Kaddish. Yiskadol v'yiskadesh shemei Rabbah. That's telling people how great God is. But a blessing, even though there's a Gemara, where is it? In Brachas, and it says that Rabbi Yishmael Kohen Gadol, he went in and he said that when they went into the Holy of Holies, that God said, "Bless me, give me a blessing." Okay, what that means, essentially, what the word blessing means in this case, blessing in Chassidut explains means to draw godliness down. When God made the world, there became this thing which was called high and low. Before that, there was just pure reality, pure truth. And God made the world so he concealed over his light, he concealed over his revelation. And the more concealment is called the lower. And the less concealment is called higher. Like you have in university, you have lower mathematics and higher mathematics. Right, the lower class is the freshman class, and this means that topic is more concealed from you.
I think one of the problems is with the word.
Just 1 minute, let me just finish. And a blessing means to make God more revealed. To make God revealed here like he is in the upper worlds. I guess in English nowadays, maybe you can liken it to motivation to life, positiveness, love, to feel the value in things. The value is already there. Life is already valuable. Life is already wonderful, right? But you have to reveal it. So when you're in a low state, the people are low down, they're cast down, even normal language it's used, right? People are down in Skid Row, I got to the lowest that I could get. I fell down to the bottom. That's what the addicts, drug addicts and alcoholics say. I got down to the bottom. Only when you get to the bottom do you realize you have to stop. In other words, that's called low. And high is not like when you take drugs.
Stop is a pretty big thing.
Right, of course. What's the question? If you still you realize there's a thing called me, and suddenly you realize that there's a thing called that I've lost my me. So who's this I? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. A blessing means to draw from a higher level of reality and good and life to a lower level. The Jewish people, that's their purpose, is to make 100 blessings every day, to draw down from a higher level, let me finish, a level of life and reality into this world, so that this world has more meaning and more love and more honesty and more brotherhood and more, motivation and more responsibility and etc. So that's the idea of a blessing. Boruch, we're saying we want to draw godliness down. Boruch.
Why not just word it differently?
What?
Why not instead of saying, "Blessed are you, Hashem," why not just say, "May we draw down your godliness to this world"?
That's what Boruch means.
Yeah, but you're saying blessed.
Yeah,
that's how the English translate it.
The English translation sort of makes a mess of it.
Yeah.
Because blessed in English means I'm wishing something good.
Okay, good. A little bit. But what does it mean a blessing? What does it mean a blessing? You go to the Rebbe, you go to someone, you say, even to a regular person, you go to, please give me a blessing. May God, means I'm lacking something good, and I want you to bring this something good into revelation, right? I am lacking health, so I want somebody to bless me with health. Health is all over the place. There's health. Health is, everybody's supposed to be healthy. I want a blessing for health. I want a blessing for wealth. Money is everywhere, right? I want a blessing. It means that to draw down, that's a simple meaning of it. It's a problem when you say to bless God. What does it mean, bless God? So we're saying we're drawing down the essence of God into the world. Okay, that's talking about the first part of the blessing. Now we're talking about the second blessing, and that's the second part. If what you're doing is a commandment, then you say the words, Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav. Asher kirishanu. Blessed are you, God, the King of the universe. The King of the universe means also that God creates the universe. He creates every detail constantly, creates time. So we're saying, may this be blessed, and may we feel this fact that you're creating us, and you're creating everything constantly. But there's something even higher than that. And that is that He sanctified us with His commandments. Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav. The word asher also means happy. Ashrei yoshvei bitecha. Asher, that we are happy. Kirishanu, that He made us holy with His commandments. The word kirishanu has a lot of meanings also. One meaning also means that He married us. Kiddushin is called getting married. That God married us. He got married to us with His commandments. We are His wife. God is the husband. Why is God the husband? Why is God male? Because the male aspect is the aspect of coming down. And receiving is the female aspect. Mother Earth. Right? Mother Earth. Receives. So Asher means to be happy. Kirishanu. That's the Chassidic meaning. The simple meaning is Asher, that. Kirishanu, He made us holy. B'mitzvotav, with His commandments. A Jew does a commandment, he becomes holy. So now the Rebbe is going to say, what is this? What is this holy? What does it mean you become holy? And that's also, we have the holy temple, Beit HaMikdash. What does the word holy mean? So the Rebbe is going to say the word holy means separated. not normal in this world.
How does it mean separated? Why not just mean great?
If you say, see this hat? This hat is a holy hat.
So it's a great hat.
But it's not that it's great, doesn't mean that it's great. It means it's something, this is something special,
Yeah,
unique.
It's something that's holy. It's great. It's special. It has a purpose. It has a meaning.
Listen, holy holy usually means you can't really relate to it. Holy means this is not a normal thing. This is a holy. See, that person is a holy person. You can't really relate to this person.
Great is an adjective.
He's got something that you can't perceive, you can't conceive of what this is. This person is holy. What does it mean, holy? Now, usually the word holy means that something to do with God. Usually, something to do with God. That's what it means, holy. Say it's holy. Okay, not always. It can also deal with idolatry. Also, but usually that's what it means, holy. Holy means something to do with God. So it says, let's look and see. Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav vitzivanu. And he commanded us. Let's take these words, kirishanu and sivanu. Let's see what this means. Kirishanu, that God made us holy. Perish hivdilanu, he separated us. Kamosha anu omrim, like you said, vihivdilanu minatoyim. Separate us from those who err, who make mistakes. V'natan lanu Torat emet, and he gave us his true Torah. So what is the Torah? The Torah is holy. What's it mean that's holy? Let's look. The Torah, the Torah Tavaya, the Torah of God. Hine, behold, levad zot, not only that. First word in line is zot. Not only that. Shehi chachma amuka, that it is very deep wisdom. Biyoter. Ukamosh katuv, and like it is written, arucha me'eretz mida, it is longer than the world, its measurement. V'rachava mina yom, and it's wider than any sea. My tribe problems is swimming across the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. It's ridiculous. You can't swim across the Pacific. That's ridiculous. It's too wide. Well, the Torah is infinitely wider. You think you can swim across it? Infinitely wider, and it's deeper. In other words, there's no measurement in the world, physical or spiritual, that can measure the Torah. Hainu, the chachmat Torah, that the wisdom of the Torah, hagam shabah, that even though it comes, behit labshut b'devorim, that it comes clothed in yanim gashmi, physical things, physical tefillin, laws of damages, laws of marriage. The al yedei hitlabshut zu, there's agricultural laws. Even though that this seems to be very mundane things that the Torah deals with, harei hasichli, behold, and this, because it is intelligent, intellectually perceived, nasa bekiruv yoter, it can become closer. Ukiyadua behefer sheben seichel mufshat v'seichel maluvash. The difference between what do they call it? There's a word for it. Let me think of this word. Abstract ideas and concrete ideas. Philosophical ideas and practical ideas.
I feel like I'm back in grade 7 now.
What?
I feel like I'm back in grade 7.
Why? Grade 7 they talked about concrete ideas, and I don't know. We were in a different school than I was. Call muvshat v'seichel malubash. Concrete ideas and abstract ideas. The seichel malubash, that intellectual ideas that are concrete, hu bekiruv yoter, it is closer, lahasaga, to understanding, mikamo seichel muvshat, than abstract ideas. Okay, so on one hand you have to have abstract ideas, because abstract ideas, that is usually what motivates people. In other words, what am I doing here? Why am I in the world? Right? Shut up and work. Right? Do your job. So, whistle while you work. Just Don't ask questions. You do your work, you do your job, but sometimes a person says, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's the purpose of it? And you're doing it for the country, you're doing it for God, you're doing it for your family, you're doing it for this. Says, but I don't feel any I'm working in France, but I'm an American, and I don't have a family. So what am I doing this work for? What am I doing? All of a sudden, he knows exactly what to do. He's really good at it. He's building cars or something like that. But what am I doing this for? Okay, you're earning money. I can earn the same amount of money somewhere else. So if he hasn't got the right idea, right, then loyalty, what's he loyal to? What's it? Chachmas Torah, the wisdom of the Torah, bo besforos sichli anushi. The ideas of the Torah. Now, mostly, let's see, you have the other religions, right? The other religions. Almost every religion has its books. The books of the other religions are usually what they call abstract ideas. You're going to go to heaven, you're going to go to this, you do this, you're going to go to hell, right? You have all these abstract ideas you have to do for the sake of the religion, you have to do for the sake of God, for the sake of this, sake of this. You have no idea what you're talking about, but it's not important. Only in Judaism is there such a thing as commandments. The only religion in the world that has commandments. That's one big thing that differentiates Judaism from all the other lahavdil religions in the world. There's a lot of other differences also, but this is a very major difference. Only in Judaism is such a thing as commandments. The other religions have their rituals, they have their heritage, they have but only Judaism has commandments that God himself commanded all of the people for all generations to do these very specific, very, exact, measured things. Tefillin have an exact definition of what's inside of them. It's very measured. You have to learn for a while how to be a scribe. You have to know how to exactly write the letters. They have to be written the proper way and put in the tefillin in the proper way, and the tefillin have to be worn in the proper way. And it's very exact. Right? And this is what God himself wants. This is what God himself wants. Now, on one hand, you can say, what type of a God is that he wants such little things like this? Who wants a God like that? He cares, don't boil milk and meat together. Right?
Dedicated.
What?
It shows who's dedicated.
Oh, so on one hand, it shows who's dedicated. It also shows that God is dedicated to us. That he really cares about what we do. And he really wants for our own benefit, that we can actually link up to infinite. We can link up to the infinite. People go to university, they spend a lot of money going to the university just in order to learn what to do, right? How to be a good doctor, how to be a good lawyer, how to be a good engineer, how to be a good mathematician, how to be... Boker Tov. In other words, you learn exactly what to do. You go to medical school and you learn exactly how to be a brain surgeon. You can't say, I'm doing it my way. Who says that's the brain? Maybe it's the heart. You can't, right? It's ridiculous. You learn what to do. There's the world, and you have to act accordingly. Also, God has his will, and you have to act accordingly to what it says. Says the Rebbe, but this is a little bit different, because the commandments, this is the will of God. And when you're doing it, you're not just doing what God said 3,000 years ago, and this is the secret code that you have to press in order to get into heaven, right? The door to heaven was built 3,300 years ago when God gave the Torah, and now you want to have the code, that's the Torah, how do you get in? You know the code, you get in. You don't, tough luck. No, maybe that's true, I don't know. I'm not the how do you say, the gatekeeper of heaven. But the one thing for sure is that when you do a commandment, you are doing what God wants in this physical world right now. And that should make you tremendously happy if you have even the smallest conception of what God is. God creates the world.
It's kind of interesting. God is beyond comprehension, and the things that he gives us to connect ourselves to him are also kind of strange.
Right.
Like the tefillin, it's pretty strange stuff. How does it do anything?
Tremendously strange.
It does it, but it's sort of, when you look at it that way, it's sort of really, it's beautiful.
That's what the Rebbe is trying to say. God is not above understanding. God is above this. It's ridiculous to say that God is above understanding. It's like saying, mathematics, no matter how big a bag you take to university, you cannot grasp the ideas of mathematics. I mean, they're just, amazing. That's ridiculous to think you're just a maniac. You're taking a bag and trying to grab mathematics with a bag? That's crazy. Well, the same thing trying to grasp God with your intelligence. We can't grasp spirituality. What are the spiritual worlds? All the other religions in the world are based on spirituality. Right? They got some level of spirituality. One person got it, he said, this is the truth. Right? God, the God of the Jews, Ein Kelokeinu, there's nothing like our God. God creates the spiritual. The spiritual, that you can say is incomprehensible. But God, you can't say it's incomprehensible. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Your mind is not, in any way, your mind is more incapable. Is such a word, incapable?
It's totally incapable.
The mind is more incapable of grasping God than a bag is incapable of grasping mathematics. Because a bag and mathematics they're part of the world. And God is the creator of the world. But, on the other hand, this same God that's totally above the spiritual, he's creating us. What links the whole business together? The commandments. The commandments. The commandments are pure will of God in physical items in this physical world.
It's like the commandments are like, you close your eyes and reach out and have faith and you'll touch. It's giving you an opportunity, not that you're touching Hashem, but it's like almost trying to reach out and touch Hashem, but with your eyes closed, because that's the only way you can possibly see it.
Anyway, listen, that's why we say Shema Yisrael, but we close our eyes when we say Shema Yisrael. In other words, not to let the world distract us, not to think that God is anything like anything that we can understand. But the commandments, on the other hand, the commandments are physical things. But they come from the essence of God. They come from a much higher source than that God creates the world, or the spiritual worlds even. That God creates the spiritual worlds, that's a lower aspect of God than where the commandments come from. And that's where it says Asher Kirishan, that's the Beit HaMikdash. Beit HaMikdash is it's a physical place that's high. What does it show? It shows that God is not limited to being infinite. But don't think that because of that you can say everything. Well, maybe this is God. So maybe a person can be God. Maybe, I can worship a person. Maybe I can worship a stone. I mean, everything is God, right? It says, yeah, it could be. You're right. It could be. But God says in the Torah, that's why He gave the Torah to tell us that He's not going to do things like that. God is not going to do things like that. You can't worship any creation. There's the creator and there's the creation. True, every creation is made from nothing. God is creating it. And every creation is a miracle. But you can only worship the creator. You can't worship any creator, not creation, not any people, right? All right, we're continuing in the Maimer in Kuntresim Aleph about the holy temple. Here we have the commandments. We're talking about the commandments. The commandments are God, how do you say, concrete godliness. The Chachmat Torah bo b'sforot sichli enushi. The first one line is sichli. The ideas of the Torah come in human intelligence. Umikol makom, nevertheless, he chachma amuka b'ma'od ma'od. Nevertheless, it is very, very deep ideas. And that, of course, is a big problem. God really put Himself into a dangerous spot by giving the Torah. Because there's people, you can learn the Torah and not believe in God. This is amazing wisdom. This is incredible wisdom, right? Incredible wisdom. Incredibly deep wisdom. There's courses you can take in Hebrew University, in Israel. There are courses about Talmudology and bibliology, all these things where you can understand the depth of the Torah, tremendously, tremendously deep, and forget totally about God. No mention about God, because God can't be understood. Hine, Levad Zod, not only that, He Torah emet. The Torah is true. Hainu, namely, first word in line is Shem Meir. Shem Me'ir, first word of the line, Shem Me'ir Bo, it shines in the Torah, there shines. Atzmut Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the essence of God Baruch Hu. V'zeu shehivdilanu min hatoim, that's what it means that God separated us. He made us holy and He separated us from the people who are mistaken. HaChoshvim, that think Torah Chachma Bilavad, that the Torah is just wisdom. Like we said, that we had boys that came here from this other yeshiva in Jerusalem. It doesn't make any difference, and they were joking around. No, I'm sorry, this is not so. But they weren't here. This is a boy that I put tefillin on 2 weeks ago in the marketplace, and he said, "Thank you. I haven't put on tefillin in 2 years. You should know that I learned in this yeshiva." He told me this name of the yeshiva in Jerusalem. So I said, "Well, it's very nice." I said, "Over there, they learn only Torah. By us, we learn Torah and we learn about God." He said, yeah, but he said the way yeshiva that we were at, there was a joke that they said, what about God? And I said, I haven't got time for God. I'm learning Torah. It was the Torah takes up your whole mind. It's just really wonderful. God is, it's for old ladies. Old Sephardic ladies, they talk about God. And they say, I'm learning the Torah, the Holy Torah. Hainu, the call, here and think, I should only have the simplicity and the faith of the old Sephardic ladies. I mean, there's old Ashkenazic ladies also, but there's more with the old Sephardic ladies.
I like those ladies.
Hainu, the call hakarasam, havanasam. There are some people that all of their recognition and all of their understanding is in the wisdom of the Torah alone. They can be geniuses in Torah. Avol be'emet, really, ein chachma v'haskala lavad. The Torah is, the main thing of the Torah is not its wisdom. Hu ikar malasel Torah. The main thing of the Torah is not hi chachmaschem u binaschem, ela, but ikar malasa is that it is Torah emet, it is the truth. And there were people in, I think, South Korea, I think it was, that some, I don't know who convinced them, but it must have been a great salesman. You want to be smart, you learn the Talmud. Yeah. All of the wisdom of the Jews comes from the Talmud. You learn the Talmud, you become smart. Yeah. So somebody sold him all these Talmuds. The fact is that it's forbidden for a non-Jew to learn the Talmud. It really is forbidden. But you can make money out of it. It's an interesting scam. So they said, and it couldn't be that it worked.
Was South Korea or China?
No, I think it was South Korea. Huh? South Korea, yeah. So they're learning Talmud so that they'll become smarter.
They get the art school,
I'm sure you know the joke, and I'll tell you the joke even if you do know it. Anyway, that a non-Jew comes up to a Jew and says, "You Jewish people, you're smart. You have all these ideas. The Jewish people said because we eat sardines. There's all sardines." He said, "Sardines? What are you talking about? I mean, I sardines." He says, "No, these are special sardines. These are not regular sardines. We eat these special sardines." So I never heard of this. Listen, don't tell everybody. This is a secret. I'm just revealing to you because you're a friend. He said, "I can bring you some of these. I haven't finished the joke. I can bring you some of these special sardines if you want to." He says, "Of course I want to. What's the question?" He says, "Okay, $50. He gives him the $50, comes back with a tin of sardines. He says, "This is regular sardines." He says, "Listen, it looks regular sardines, but this is, believe me, this is the real thing." So he eats the sardines, and he says, "I don't feel any smarter." He says, "Well, what do you think, just one time? You've been your whole life a non-Jew. You have to get acclimed to this." So good. So after he sells them 20 things, 20 the tins of these sardines for $50 a piece. So he's already spent $1,000. So he says, "Listen, one second. I've been eating these sardines already. I've been eating these sardines for 5 months. I don't feel any smart. I think you're cheating me." He says, "See, you're already getting smarter." See? Okay, the same thing with the learning the Talmud makes you smarter.
Actually, I know this university professor, and he teaches Jewish studies, and he's been getting a lot of students lately who came through the yeshiva system. And he says that these young men who have studied Torah, who studied specifically Talmud, Gemara, their brains function a lot better.
Okay, good, because when you learn the Talmud, you don't take things at face value. And even when you understand something, then let's say you learn Rashi and you see, oh, maybe I didn't understand so well. You have a question. Then you learn the Tosfos, and the Tosfos, he disagrees with Rashi, right? The general principle that Rashi is never wrong. He's never wrong. And the Tosfos is also never wrong. And they totally disagree with one another. And then you look and you try to understand, right? And you see that the Rosh has his opinion, and the Ran has his opinion, and the Rashba has his opinion. And these people also were geniuses. They were never wrong. And they totally disagree with one another. So all of a sudden you start realizing that, hey, maybe these people are just on a different level of understanding, that I'm at. This is like pure godliness, these people. It's not normal human wisdom anymore, but it's talking about regular things. It's talking about regular, normal things. A woman is a yibum, all the laws of yibum and all the laws of ketuvos and incredible details that are here and arguments that are deeper and deeper and deeper. And you realize, rarely do you find, if you find somebody is, let's say, made a mistake, it's only because they say maybe the Gemara they had was a different version. Maybe the Rambam had a little bit of a different version than this Gemara. But these people, they had
So smart.
unfailable. It's godly. These people are just right. Shehi Torah Emet. Even when you see that sometimes they disagree, sometimes the Ramah, the Ramah will disagree with the Beis Yosef. There'll be arguments between them, and sometimes they'll even say he doesn't know what he's talking about. They don't really mean that he doesn't know what he's talking about. They're just in the heat of the argument, and etc. Okay. Ta'araita v'kodesh baruch hu kol echad. That's the main thing of the Torah, that the Torah and God are totally one. So you should understand the Torah, and the Torah is really very interesting, and it's really very deep, incredibly deep, and even the ideas which are not even practical nowadays. They have all these, in the Torah law, arguments, and the Gemara, arguments in the Holy Temple, and arguments about impurity and purity and tzorat, and things that don't even exist anymore. Tremendously deep and alive. The Torah, but the main thing of the Torah is not the wisdom and the depth of it, even though you must delve into this. But the main thing of the Torah is the godliness. It is the wisdom and the will of God. That God, you are wise with no known wisdom. There was just a very simple example. There was in America, they had near the end of World War II, they had the Manhattan Project. So they wanted to figure out a way to make an atomic bomb. So they got all these geniuses and all these amazing professors and there was physicists, and they worked and they worked and they worked. I don't know how long they worked. I have to look and see. I don't know, something like a year. I don't know how long. A year, 2 years. So they worked for 2 years and they were working with one another and genius people. And finally they figured it out. Now, all they figured out was just a normal principle in physics, right? A normal principle. They just realized if you make a certain combinations of things and put certain things together, then you can release this power in physics. It's just a thing it's not spiritual at all. It's not spiritual, huh?
It's still kind of funny though when you think about it, all these amazing scientists, they worked on this for who knows how long. And they never thought of the side effects that could come through.
No, of course they did. Sure they did, of course.
They didn't know what happened.
They
dropped the bomb. All these things in Japan happened. It's like all these...
Einstein, he realized that the potential... First of all, he knew that they were using it for war. The whole thing was a war project. It was a war project. But he thought that maybe they would drop it on an isolated island or maybe in the middle of the sea, and he would scare the people in Japan and just to drop them on you have to look and see. That was another plan. They wanted to really drop it on, I think, on Tokyo originally. There was clouds over there. They have to look. There's a whole big thing. But he was very torn. Einstein especially was very torn about the use that it was used directly on humans immediately. But eventually he realized that if they would have attacked, there would have been more loss of lives on both sides than if they dropped the bomb. At least that's what, terrible decision to make. Terrible decision to make, but the Japanese were very fierce and devoted fighters, right? There was the story with Okinawa, and it was just, thousands of people just lost their lives. They were fighting, and if the fighting would have moved to Japan, okay, that's not the purpose of this classes, but nevertheless they did know. Of course they did. It was a military project. They knew there was a military project. Now you have the people in Iran, and they're intelligent people. They are very intelligent people there in Iran, and they can't really figure out how to get this thing moving. The knowledge is already there. It's not that, the first time. So you can see even physical knowledge, how deep it is, and how inaccessible it is. Here we're talking about the knowledge of God. God, God is not spiritual. God is above the spiritual, like we said. And here we have in the Torah, you're actually learning ideas about God. Right? If this person has an ox over here and this person has a donkey over here, and they make an agreement, he pulls the donkey, as automatically the ox goes over to this other person, right? Well, what if the ox died before? What if the ox was pregnant and it gave birth? Is the baby part of this? They have to have witnesses. Questions and questions and questions. This is the wisdom of God. The chachma shebeseder ishtalshlut hu chachma yediyah. That the wisdom which is in the whole order of creation, and there's even learning Kabbalah. This is concrete knowledge of la chachma shebetorah, but the chachma of the Torah is chachma v'lo b'chachma yediyah. But the chachma that you learn, even if you're learning the most mundane ideas of your ox damaging someone else, right? These ideas that seem to be so concrete, this is really above abstract. Comes from the source of all creation. Incredible. Same thing with Kabbalah. If you learn Kabbalah as wisdom, tremendous, amazing wisdom, they have Kabbalah centers and Kabbalah clubs and Kabbalah groups and whatever it is, the Kabbalah, what is it? Also the teams, they have Kabbalah competitions, what they have nowadays. Kabbalah, right? Kabbalah, in other words, you can use the ideas of Kabbalah in a normal way. You can use Kabbalah, you want to say it to the ideas, at least in Kabbalah, I think the idea, Kabbalah means to receive, there's the Kabbalah. You can use these ideas in a very normal way. Says the Rebbe, the real purpose of the Torah, no matter what level of Torah it is that you realize the greatness of Hashem. For Rak Divra Torah, the Torah is infinitely higher than any Kabbalistic ideas you can possibly imagine, but what the Torah speaks in the language of people. Only the essence of God can do such a thing. That God's wisdom and His will come enclosed in human awareness. Look inside Yonah. First word in line is b'seichel. It's radio, seichel. Ube'emes, and really, hine zeh rak b'torah shebal peh. This is only in the oral Torah, the Talmud, the Mishnah, Midrash, but in Torah shebechtav, but in the written Torah, hu kulu shemotav shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. In the oral Torah, you can understand ideas. In the written Torah, everything that you read there is the names of God. Umeir bo ha'or begilei rav, and there shines there light and tremendous revelation. You get called up to the Torah. You make a blessing even if you don't understand one word, because the letters are holy. The letters of the Torah are God's letters. Even though the Torah is only just letters, what do you want to tell us? That God writes letters? In these letters, they are the otiot Torah. They are the letters of the Torah. And in these letters is the revelation of the penimiut and the essence of Ein Sof. There are the revelation in each letter of the Torah is the revelation of the essence of God. V'zeu she'Torah b'chalal, and that's what it means. The Torah in general is the Torah emet. The Torah is truth. What do you mean the Torah is truth? The creation is a lie. Why is the creation a lie? Because the creation screams out, I created myself. I am independent. The whole creation seems to be a proof that there's no creator. Right, here it is. You see God creating this table, you see God creating anything. It's ridiculous. What do you want to say? God creates my hat. God creates the wall. He creates the... Of course not. Has anybody, any scientist, is there any scientific proof for this whatsoever? That God is creating everything all the time? What are you talking about? Anything whatsoever. Has anybody seen any sort of an indication that God is creating everything? So what's the answer? What is the indication that God is creating everything? What is? Miracles. Once in a while, God makes a miracle. And when God makes a miracle, suddenly you realize, whoa, looks like we're not alone. Looks like there's some sort of a power over here that we didn't really sort of reckon with. Right? And it seems to be working for the Jews. God took the Jews out of Egypt. God gave the Jews the Torah. Right? God provided for the Jews 40 years in the desert. True that the Jews, even after these miracles happened, just a few days after, they denied the whole business. The Jews themselves. But nevertheless, because nature is strong. Okay, Yonah? Nature is really powerful. Nature screams out, there's no God, there's no creator. Stand up if you want. Stand up. There's no God, there's no creator. But that's what nature screams out. We Jews have to say, no. We are saying there is a creator. Very difficult thing. That's why the Jews are the chosen people. We're chosen to tell everybody that nature is just a creation. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. Another proof of it is the Torah. That's what it says. The Torah is emet. It is true. The world seems to be saying, we are the truth, we are the champions, we are the only real existence. The Torah, the world. And the Jews are saying, no. The Torah is the truth. What are you talking about? Hainu, the Orein Sof Baruch Hu, that the infinite light of God and the Torah, that is what is real. V'zeu, that's what it means, Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. That's what it means when God said, I am making you holy with my commandments. The al yadei tzivuyav, that by means of God's commandments, when a Jew puts on tefillin, when a Jew puts on tzitzis, when a Jew gives charity, when a Jew learns the Torah, yit'aleh v'hivdilanu mikol amim, you become separate from all mankind. All mankind are part of the world, and every Jew is part of God. The rest of the world is the highest part of creation, and we are the lowest part of the Creator. Every Jew is a holy temple. Asher al panei adamah, that is on the face of the earth. 3 more lines. Al derech mashal hinei hamelech. For instance, a melech, gadol. First word of the line is gadol. It is 10 lines from the bottom of the page. Varam. O chacham muflag. Hu mekarev ish hamoni. When he is friendly to a simple person. We did this, didn't we? Didn't we do this yesterday? Where did we do this? When he is friendly to a simple person, v'dal anashim, asher bazeh ari neseh metzius chashuv. That the person becomes a very important. The king himself came down to me and he was friendly with me. He asked me to bring him a pencil. Hine kamo kein al yedei mitzvos, by means of the commandments. Nasim Yisrael, the Jewish people become important. Velo od ella shivanu, God commanded us. That sivanu means another word, tzavta v'chibor. Joining. God joined to us. Tziva is language is tzevet. that God joined us. He links to us with the commandments. Like a ish pashut, like a simple person, a makayim tzivu hamelech, that does what the king tells him. He's alive in this. I'm doing what the king wants. Bechayut pandimi, in an inner. There's a story that once a guard was standing in front of the palace of the king. You hear me, Yonah? A guard in Russia. He was standing in front of the palace of the Tsar. It was 20 degrees below zero. They came in the morning and he was frozen. He stood his place and he was frozen. So they took him and they thawed him out. Stood his guard, frozen, and they beat him. They gave him lashes. He says, "What are you giving me lashes for?" He said, "Because just the fact that you were doing what the king wants, that should have warmed you up. Just the fact that you were guarding the king's palace, that should have made you warm. How could you be frozen? You were probably thinking about yourself." Okay, is it true? Is it not true? It could have been true. But the fact is that when you don't think about what you're doing, when you do a commandment, you can freeze. When you're thinking, what am I doing when I'm doing a commandment? I am really doing what God wants. It warms you up. It makes you amazed and excited. That's what it means, kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. At a wedding, kiddushin, at a wedding, everybody's happy. They're all dancing around. They're all happy. Same thing, when you do a commandment, you should be happy. It's a happy occasion.
It's a wedding.
It's a wedding. You're getting married to Hashem each time. They say that the Ramban, that when he would put on tefillin, that he had, when he was older, that they had to hold him up. It was such a exciting experience for him. Such an emotional and tremendous experience that they had to hold him up, putting on tefillin. Well, at least we should be a little bit excited. So that's the idea of the commandments. God made it, and that's the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple is the ultimate commandment, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.